All right, let us interrupt you. Episode 227 here on Monday, October 30th, 2023. I am Joseph Olivo. I apologize for the black screen first. My camera was knocked over, and I guess I think the thing wasn't plugged in right. So luckily now we have a camera now that actually works. So just to open up the show, I had to fix my camera just now. So if you saw like a big giant black thing, it was because the camera was not hooked up and it was on the laptop. I actually completely forgot. Put the episode together that I almost didn't have a camera for the show, which probably would have been for the better, really. Like, I don't really have a good looking face today. My beard is a little, it's got patches all over. I need new razors. My birthday's coming up, so hopefully I can get myself some new razors for my birthday, for myself. I'm going to hold off a couple of days and shave then. Thought, you know what, I'll beard for now because, well, it is worth keeping. I'm going to go to the NCAA football of the weekend really quickly here, just to get that out of the way. There really wasn't a lot of big-time games really to go over here. There were a couple of upsets, really. A few games that were really worth going back to for game of the year type. Kansas, Oklahoma, and Lawrence, Kansas, I thought was a spectacle, really. Bean actually outplayed Gabriel despite the 2 interceptions that he threw in the game. Neal had 25 carries for 112 yards and 1 touchdown in the running department. For Walker, it was 23 carries, 146 yards, and a touchdown for Oklahoma, but it did not matter as Kansas upset Oklahoma at home, 38-33. Kansas now 6-2 on the season. Penn State survived Indiana. They won 33-24. Indiana played them tough in this game. That's one thing I noticed about this game, really. This is the toughest and the most competitive Indiana has been all year against any really Big Ten team, really. And what a way to be competitive. I mean, it would have been nice for them to pull out the upset win in Penn State, which I didn't think was going to happen, but it would have been interesting if they did. But they lose 33-24 instead. Louisville beat Duke 23-0. They shut them out. I mean, Riley Leonard was no answer there. 9 for 23, 121 yards, 1 interception. Plummer had threw for 117 for Louisville, 0 touchdowns, 0 picks in this game. This all it was really was Jordan with 21 carries, 163 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Jawar Jordan just ran all over them in this game. The rest had 7 catches for 73 yards. That's all that really was in this game. Drew Allard in the game in Penn State, by the way, I forgot to mention this. He had 210 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick, and Sorsby actually outplayed him with throwing 270, by the way. So Indiana actually outplayed Penn State. Oregon beat Utah 35-6. Bo Nix continued his masterful performance, 248 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Barnes had 136 yards throwing, 2 picks, 15 for 29 throwing. They lose 35-6. Utah did. Texas beat BYU 35-6. No Arch Manning. Well, they had Malik Murphy. Malik Murphy ran wild in this game, and threw for only 170 yards and 2 touchdowns and a pick. The story was his feet. I mean, they basically ran the ball a lot in this game. This was a game where Murphy had a breakout game. Brooks had a breakout game, despite the fact that Murphy ran for negative 18 yards. I think it was on a holding call, really, but. The story was that Xavier Worthy had 4 catches for 27 yards. He was targeted 10 times in this game, and only got 4 catches out of it. But it didn't matter. Texas killed BYU 35-6. Buckeyes remain undefeated. Number 3 team in the country. They might as well stay in that ranking for a while. Kyle McCord, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in the win over Wisconsin. Wisconsin had Locke, who threw for 165 yards and 18 for 39 throwing. 1 touchdown, no pick there. Ohio State going into Wisconsin with a big W there. Tennessee beat Kentucky. I was wrong. I thought Kentucky was going to pull off the upset, but the story was in this game was that Larry might have outplayed Joe Milton III, but it wasn't enough. Larry threw for 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. I'm still trying to figure out how Kentucky managed to screw this game up in the end. The story was in this game was the fact that, late in the game, going for a 4th down early in that first quarter, and it just hurt the rest of the way. I mean, it didn't really matter at that point. They went for it again, 4th down midway in the 3rd quarter. They had a missed field goal, just bad possessions all the way around. That took way too much time off the clock. A lot of bad time management right now, which hurt Kentucky a lot in the loss of Tennessee. So that was the story there. Schrader Sanders got beat up so badly in this game that midway through the game he had to get a quarter zone shot just to alleviate the pain. This kid just got hurt a lot in this game for Colorado. 27 for 43, 217 yards, 1 touchdown, no pick. Sacked 7 times in this game. Pressured over 17 times and knocked over 15 times. I don't know what else more to say about this, really. They're going to get this kid killed. This offensive line is pathetic. And the sad thing is they only had the one touchdown he had in this game when Jimmy Horn Jr., and he was targeted 10 times, and we had 6 catches for 35 yards. I mean, if your best wide receiver has got less catches but more yards, and everybody else has got like that same amount at that point, there's something wrong. Ever since Hunter came back, he's been totally I don't know what the story was with Colorado with this team. It's been bad with them. They have just been terrible since he's been back. They've not progressed at all since his return. In fact, their defense has gotten worse since he's returned. And it's kind of surprising, and for UCLA, I mean, they got 269 yards passing from Gerber's, 20 for 27. The story was in this game was that they had no answer. They had no answer for UCLA's defense. They came out hot and ready, and they just torched the hell out of Schrader Sanders throughout that entire game. Georgia Tech upset North Carolina 46-42, a hell of a shootout between Drake May and King. May have gotten the win in passing yards in the game with 310 yards, 2 touchdowns and no picks, but King had 4 touchdown throws, 287 yards on 23 for 30 throwing. And it was just a lot of heroics here. And once again, back-to-back weeks. They lost to Virginia last week. They lose to Georgia Tech this week. Hampton for North Carolina ran for 153 yards on 29 carries with 2 touchdowns. Smith had 178 yards on 22 carries and 1 touchdown. Rutherford, the wide receiver for Georgia Tech, had 6 catches for 83 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Nesbitt had 3 catches for 89 for North Carolina. Florida State beat Wake Forest 41-16. They remain as a 4th seed, and they remain 8-0. So their ranking won't change. Georgia beat the Florida Gators, #1 ranked team in the country, without Brock Bowers, 43-20. Carson Beck threw for 315 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He was flinging that ball all over the place. Mertz went 25 for 34, 230 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. The story of the game was, honestly, the story of this game was just not capitalizing. A punt going for a 4th down early, mainly from your own, from your own 34-yard line. That just made no sense at that point. They had a touchdown, they had a fumble, they had a blocked punt that resulted in a safety, I believe. Not 100% sure. I think it was that resulted in a safety. Yes, that made it 26-7. And then really the moral of the story was that they just could not get any offense going at that point. They punted again, went for it again on a 4th down. A lot of touchdown that happened late. They were down by 30 in this game. Georgia just outplayed them. That's all there was to it. Graham Mertz did nothing wrong in this game. It's not him. It's the rest of the team. They're just terrible. They're 5-3, but they're really 1 loss away from being 4-4. Really. Tulane beat Rice 30-28. USC beat Cal 50-49. Might as well have been game of the year by leaps and bounds here with the way California played, and way Caleb Williams brought this team back. 369 yards thrown for Caleb Williams, 2 touchdowns, no picks. For Cal, you had Mendoza going for 25 for 39, 292 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. But the story was USC hung around long enough to avoid the 3rd straight loss and make this one hell of a game. 5th-ranked Washington beat Stanford 42-33. Michael Penix Jr. threw for 369 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a pick. Daniels threw for 367. This was a duel. This was truly a duel right here. At Stanford here, but Washington was able to come out on top, and they were avoiding an upset in Stanford. Ole Miss beat Vanderbilt 33-7. James Madison beat Old Dominion 30-27, and Arizona, like I called it over the weekend, beat Oregon State 27-24. Ugali only threw for 218 yards. Fafieta outplayed him. Went 25 for 32, 275 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 pick. And they got the upset win over Oregon State 27-24. So that was your college football top 25 highlights. Now, I went to the URI game over the weekend. Saw a hell of an overtime game. And every time I go to these URI football games now at this point, it seems like they have a game of the year type, either that or just some kind of random, like, sad blowout. So to me, the way I look at it, the way I see it, I think this freaking camera's not straight. I think, hold on, I gotta adjust this camera. This is starting to aggravate me. Anyway, so the story here is this. URI came out and played in this game. It was one hell of a game. They got a lot going on. New scoreboard going to be going up right now. They're taking down the old scoreboard. This game had no clock at all. I don't know how they could figure it out at that point. I don't know if the referees just timed this one or what it could have been. But they had to go. It was the least penalized game that I could think of out of any URI game I've been to. And I've been to a lot of URI football games. If there was a few flags thrown in the game, it was probably minimal. It felt like a really true playoff game between New Hampshire and URI. It came down to the limit there. The running back had a dive in the end zone for the touchdown. I don't have the names in front of me, unfortunately. It didn't pop up my screen here. But URI did get the win 34-28. I did get the crowd pumped up. I got the megaphone thing. Yelled to that thing. I've always wanted to do it, and it felt right. It felt right at that moment. It was a lot of fun. I mean, you're doing that in front of 15 to 30,000 people in those stands. It's not easy to do. And I think I was able to get on TV because of that too. So that's why I actually mainly did it as well. But anyway, I wanted to bring that up. But yeah, URI did get the win 34-28. Delaware beat Townsend 51-13. Albany beat Maine 37-21. William Mary beat Monmouth 31-28. Villanova beat Stony Brook 48-13. Hampton beat North Carolina AT 26-24, and Richmond beat Campbell 44-13. So Stony Brook's going to go winless this year. There's no doubt about that in my mind. They have the worst team in college football. They have nothing going on. They just get outscored very easily. And Connor Watkins here was a difference maker in this game. 4 touchdown throws in this one here. Villanova just looks like they're on a totally different level right now, and as far as being the CAA goes. And I think right now, if I'm not mistaken here, that right now they are a few back of Albany and Richmond. Delaware is undefeated in conference play, and they are 7-1. If Delaware were to lose a couple of games here, and Villanova would win out here, Villanova would win the division this year. And I think they might have a pretty decent shot. And I hate to say it here, they might actually compete for a bowl game this year. Villanova, Delaware, and I would say Richmond too. I put William Mary in that conversation as well, just because, even though they had that crappy loss to Virginia, I think they're competitive as well. Elon, I don't know. They're a tough one. URI, I don't think they're gonna be. I don't think should be in that conversation because they're just too far down. New Hampshire this year, though, just completely crapped the bed. 2-3 in their conference play. They won't be able to contend for it this year, unfortunately. They had to get by William Mary and Rhode Island and Campbell, and that's just not going to happen. They needed that win desperately, and unfortunately, they just could not get it. So that was the moral of the story there. Now let's get to the NFL. We're covering a lot of NFL games that were on over the weekend. Very great games on over the weekend right now. I'm actually going to start off with Will Levis here. I wanted to talk about him for a minute because I said it a long time ago that he would get a start right around October, November. Preferably would start probably in this game here against the Falcons. And this kid just came out and just threw darts. I mean, you talk about a guy that belonged and should have been starting from day one. This is a guy that went from the first round to the second round, which that was pretty pathetic in itself. The NFL draft missed out on this. I don't know how anybody would miss out on this kid, but this kid's ready for the NFL. Levis in this game, 19 for 29, 238 yards, 4 touchdowns in his rookie debut. Only Frank Tarkenton and Marcus Mariota has that under their belt in their rookie years, where they debuted with 4 passing touchdowns. And this guy just threw darts in this game. They were lasers. They were dimes. They were whatever. This was Tom. If it wasn't Tom Brady-esque in this game, it was pretty damn close. I got a 2007 vibe from Will Levis in this game. The 47-yard touchdown pass to DeAndre Hopkins made 7-3. The 16-yard to Hopkins again, and then later on in the third quarter, after a couple of field goals by the Falcons, a 61-yard bomb to DeAndre Hopkins. He loves DeAndre Hopkins. Hopkins, the game, loves him too. And then later on, the real seal the deal there, a 38-yarder to Nick Westbrook Inkring for the touchdown there. I knew right there and then it was over. Taylor Heineke came in there late for Desmond Ridder. Ridder only was benched. He was concussed. He would pass protocol, but he was bad in this game. He was 8 for 12 for 71 yards. Not much to right there. Heineke outplayed him with going for 175 yards and a touchdown on 12 for 21 passing. But the Titans get the win 28-23. Will Levis right now is playing like a man possessed. And I think this guy is going to be having a really interesting week because he's going to go to Pittsburgh this Thursday. And I believe he'll be the Pittsburgh Steelers now at this point. Because here's why. You have Pickett that's banged up with a rib injury, which I'll get into later on. The fact that your defense is banged up with Minkah Fitzpatrick, who's got a sprained hamstring, that's not good. So a short week, a banged-up Pittsburgh Steelers team, yes, they're at home, but they just lost at home to Jacksonville. And they didn't play so great. So I can't see them rebounding here after a short week with a banged-up defense. They're not 100%. Pickett's not 100%. They're probably going to put Trubisky in there just to give Pickett the rest. I just can't imagine realistically here the Titans here screwing this one up. I think they're going to win this one in Pittsburgh. They might go to Tampa Bay, and they might take one to Tampa Bay as well. I do. I think the only loss they're going to have here going forward is Jacksonville and probably Miami again, and probably Seattle later on or Jacksonville later on in the year. Otherwise, I mean, you're probably going to end up You're probably going to end up losing to Jacksonville twice, which is 6 losses right there. And then 1 loss to Miami. You might be in the playoffs with Will Levis. Will Levis might lead his team to the playoffs because the way I look at it right now with Tennessee, I believe in Will Levis. This kid may be a believer, and the kid was great with Kentucky. I thought he was the best thing that Kentucky's ever had at quarterback. It's too bad he didn't spend his last year there. I mean, he could have been a great fit for that system this year, and Kentucky would be right now amongst the conversation right now on top of the SEC East. So the kid was unbelievable. He was perfect in this game. It was one hell of a game, one hell of a competitive standpoint here. I mean, you're coming in as a rookie out of Kentucky. This kid was first round from start to finish. He was the first pick in the second round. He was fantastic in this game. I thought he played excellent football. And I think realistically, that is by far the best game anyone's had debuting as a rookie in a long time. I'm thinking more like since Andrew Luck back in 2012. And if not him, then RG3 when he debuted in the Superdome against Drew Brees. That's all I can think of here. I didn't think Marcus Mariota's debut was that impressive because he faced a Buccaneer defense that sucked. That's really about it. That's all I can say about this really is that he faced a lousy defense that was so bad. And Winston was a bust on that team from the word go because he just threw too many interceptions. And I think, honestly, he just tried to do way too much. Try to outshine Marcus Mariota because he was jealous of Marcus Mariota's popularity. Even though he was a little bit more popular than Winston, more than Mariota was at the time. But anyway, Derrick Henry had 22 carries for 101 yards. He didn't have a touchdown in the game, but he did have a big 100-yard game. As a team overall, they had 36 carries for 149 yards. Spears had 3 carries for 27 yards. Levis had 7 carries for 11. Malik Willis was in there at one point. He's in there for a gadget plays, 2 carries for 4 yards. But I think you found your quarterback at this point. I think it's time to trade away Ryan Tannehill at this point. I mean, he's dead weight for your team anyway. I don't think he should come back, really. And he's got good decorum with and good collaboration with Westbrook Inkring, Burke, and DeAndre Hopkins for sure. Hopkins had 4 catches for 128 yards. With Derrick Henry, had 4 catches for 21 yards, and they were all positive yards, 5.3 yards on average. And the only only mistake you had in the game was Malik Willis fumbling the ball. So you found your quarterback. And I hate to say this about Malik Willis, but he's going to spend the rest of his career as a backup. I'm sorry. That's all there is to it. Will Levis has got you beat. So I said it before. I'll say it again here. I didn't think the Falcons were going to win this game. I thought Desmond Ridder was a joke. This debut game kind of reminded me a little bit of the Mariota-Winston matchup. The only difference is I think the roles were kind of reversed here. Like Ridder was the overhyped prospect, like Jameis Winston was, and in this case here, Levis was Mariota. But the only difference is I think Levis will have a better career than Mariota ever had. I think this kid's going to have a starting job permanently going forward for the Tennessee Titans. I don't see how he doesn't. He's got a hell of an arm, averaging 8.2 yards per pass play. Shred that Falcon defense, expose that team. That Falcon team overall, you were exposed by a 2-4. And going to this game, you were exposed defensively by a rookie quarterback that threw 4 touchdowns on you. You're supposed to have like a top 10, top 15 ranked defense this year with Calais Campbell and Grady Jarrett, which Jarrett, by the way, left the game with an ankle injury. And London, I think, left the game with an ankle injury as well. But the moral of the story is that you guys got exposed throughout the game. I mean, A.J. Terrell got exposed by DeAndre Hopkins. I thought he was going to shut him out, but 128 yards receiving, and you allowed 3 touchdowns in that game. He could not cover Hopkins at all. And this was the best DeAndre Hopkins games in a long time. I'm just saying, in a long, long time. So good for the Titans. They got the much-needed W that they needed to get here. We go from one great game to a shitfest game. It was the Jets and the Giants. This was an ugly game. This game at one point, when both teams combined are converting for, I'll give you the numbers right now. The Giants were 2 for 19 on third down. The Jets were 2 for 23 or 3 for 24. When you're combining 5 for, let's say, 42 on third down conversions combined, that's pretty sad. Tyrod Taylor got injured in the game with a rib injury. He got knocked out of the game. That was early in the first half. Tommy DeVito was in there. He didn't throw the ball once. Saquon Barkley ran the ball 36 times for 128 yards. There was one point where Barkley had the first down and had the game sealed and won. The problem was he dove down, tried to take more clock off, and it made no sense because literally you could have gotten the first down and that could have sealed the deal right there. Instead, you go down on third down. And then DeVille's trying to sneak it in there, and he couldn't get it. So you go out the field, you get Gano in there. Mind you, it's crappy weather. They should not be kicking this ball. No matter how close it is, it's a wet field. It's pouring like cats and dogs. And he shakes a kick from 28 yards. And Zach Wilson drives the ball down the field, gets the tie, forces the overtime there. Giants had to punt the ball right in the first possession. It was a mess. That game was a freaking mess from start to finish. They went 3 and out. They lost 11 yards. There was a holding call that really sent them back there. And then that field goal right there, here was what really set up. The 11-yard pass play to Garrett Wilson at 3rd and 10. And then you have the pass interference on Dory Jackson, which really sealed the deal right there. That pass interference right there really sealed it right there. That was on him. That was the right call. Zerline kicked the 30-yard field goal. That gave the Jets to win 13-10. Without Aaron Rodgers this year, the Jets are 4-3 this year without Aaron Rodgers. Just putting it out there for you. The key victories were this year. I'll give you the following right now what the key victories were this year. And you may already know this. The Giants, obviously. The Philadelphia Eagles, the Denver Broncos, and the Buffalo Bills. That's what they beat this year. Buffalo at home, Denver on the road. They could have beaten Kansas City. It would have been 5-2 right now, and they right now would be ahead of the Buffalo Bills for the AFC East. And realistically, they beat the Philadelphia Eagles, the defending NFC East champions. The NFC champs, really, the representatives for the NFC from last year in the Super Bowl. And the Giants, who are also in the NFC East. And so far this year, they're 2-1 this year against the NFC East. Actually, they're 3-1, against the NFC East this year. Enough said, right? Or no, they're 2-1. Did I get that wrong? 2-1? All right, Giants, Eagles. Yeah, they lost to the Cowboys. Okay, so they're 2-1. Like that. They have the Chargers next week on Monday Night Football. This would be an interesting one. LA on the road in New York against that Jet defense. Keenan Allen versus Sauce Gardner. That's really the only good thing I could say about this game that's upcoming next week for Monday Night Football next week. It's Gardner versus Keenan Allen. Or DJ Chalk versus Quentin Johnson. That's really the only good thing about this game next week is that you got your 2 best wide receivers against their 2 best defensive backs. Good luck to you. But this game was terrible. This will go down as one of the worst games of the year. This was worse than Northern Illinois versus Boston College back in week 1 of the college football season. That game was atrocious. At least that one had some scoring, but Jesus, this was atrocious. This one here. I don't even know what's worse. The fact that right now that New York fans are actually celebrating this right now at this point, like you can't even beat the Giants without the rain and Saquon Barkley sitting on his ass technically, if you think about it, right, Tyrod Taylor never really finished the game, so technically I actually did win that pick. And I did pick both the Jets and the Giants. And I said if Tyrod Taylor would have played the entire game, then it would have been, in this case here, a win for me either way for the Giants. But if Tyrod Taylor didn't finish the game and play in the game, well, it would have been a loss. So either way, I was kind of right. I knew it was going to be a low-scoring game. I didn't think the weather was going to be that terrible, but Jesus Christ, that was pretty bad. The Vikings pick on the Green Bay Packers. The Packers dropped to 2-5 after their loss at home this weekend, 24-10. Kirk Cousins in the game, throwing 2 touchdowns. Let's get up with Cam Akers. Welcome to Minnesota, guys. 6-yard touchdown, his first touchdown with the Vikings. The first offensive rushing touchdown for the Vikings all season. They scored, make it 7-0. Second quarter, it's 10-0 here. There was a bunch of offside penalties that were called. They missed a field goal at one point, and then it was an offside penalty called, and then they went for another field goal. They made it 10-3. Then Cousins threw a touchdown to Hawkinson and a touchdown to Addison from 20 yards out. Made it 24-3. Late in the fourth quarter, Kirk Cousins was going back in the play there. He was trying to run away and avoid the sack, and he tore his Achilles tendon. He is done for the year. It's not looking good for the Vikings. Their season's pretty much a wash at this point. They don't get into the quarterback soon in the trade deadline. Otherwise, hold on, guys. Before I even finish my thought, hold on. I don't know if that helps or not. Actually, that helps me a lot. That helped me a lot. All right. So that's that. So that's that. I just needed the lights on. I was just realizing in my head, like I'm doing this show practically in the dark here. I'm actually in my kitchen, actually, if you haven't even noticed. Not in my room because the Wi-Fi is down in my room. So I cannot do the show up in my lair, unfortunately. Anyway, late in the fourth quarter, but yeah, Kirk Cousins done for the year with a torn Achilles tendon. Very sad. Their season's a wash at this point. Love threw a 1-yard touchdown pass late to Randall Dobbs, 14 plays, 75 yards. But that will do it. Packers lose to the Vikings 24-10. Kirk Cousins 23 for 31 before the injury for 274 and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. The quarterback Jaren Hall, the rookie out of BYU, was in there. It looks like now he's going to be the starter going forward, and this means now at this point when the Vikings play again, which will be next week at the Atlanta Falcons. It will be Jaren Hall's debut. It will be the debut of Jaren Hall. Jaren Hall will make a name for himself at this point now. And the question now is at this point is that do they have a shot to make a run for it in the NFC with this quarterback here? And we'll wait and see. I mean, he was 3 for 4 for 23 yards, averaged 5.8 yards per average while in there late. That's not really proving anything, but it's better than what Love did. 24 for 41, 229 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. The story in this game was that Reed had 4 catches for 83 yards. He was probably the most dependable wide receiver throughout the entire game. Watson was 3 catches for 33 yards. He sucked. Wicks was 2 for 28. He sucks. Dukes with 4 for 18. He really blows. Targeted 9 times in this game. But otherwise, you had Aaron Jones who came back in the game. He fumbled, but he recovered it. Love fumbles, but he didn't lose it. And Wyatt recovered a fumble, which I think the Vikings lost on their own. I think it was on a it was Jaren Hall who fumbled it. And I think did he throw an interception in this game? No. No. Wait a minute. No. Okay, that was Metellus picking off Love. Okay. So that's that. But Jaren Hall, I mean, the season's not a loss at this point. I actually completely forgot he was on the roster at this point. I'm thinking to myself, they might trade for Mac Jones at this point, but I just killed my whole story right there about Mac Jones probably going to Minnesota right now. But I don't think the Vikings would want to trade away their prospect for Mac Jones as their only backup. I mean, it wouldn't make sense here. And Mac will probably lose a job to him anyway. So we're just going to be realistic here. Let's see. I'm going to do the Patriots Dolphins review in the end. So I'm going to do all the other games besides that one. I'm not going in a particular order here. So I'm going to go with the Rams and the Cowboys next matchup here. This was a Dak Prescott thriller here. 18-yard pass to Jake Ferguson for a touchdown there. 10 plays, 69 yards in 5 minutes. Later on, Matthew Stafford dropping back right now. Throwing a pass to Cooper Kupp. It's picked up by Deron Bland. Pick 6, 17-3. Still in the first quarter. That's how the first quarter came to an end. Then Evans blocked the punt. And goes in the end zone for a CD. It's 19-3. Prescott again throws a CeeDee Lamb right there. 26-3. It was set up on a Turpin 60-yard punt return. Later on, Prescott again to Gisele for 22 yards out, made it 33-3. Then Royce Freeman ran up the middle for the Rams. 12 plays, 75-yard drive to set up a 1-yard run by Freeman, made it 33-9 at the half. Then Stafford throws a pass to Ben Schwartz in the end zone for a touchdown, 20-yard play there. 2-point conversion was good by Tutu Atwell, who caught a pass. And the runner did break the plane. They were saying he was down, but they say he was in the end zone. They reviewed it, but the call stood. Later on, Prescott again, Brandon Cooks, 25 yards. His second TD as a Dallas Cowboy made it 43-17. And Harden kicked another field for the Rams, but the Rams came up short here. Stafford did hit his thumb on a throw there, injured the thumb. Did not return. Brett Ripken did come in the game. Cowboys get the W, though. They improved to 5-2, and they play the Philadelphia Eagles next week in Philly. So that should be a really interesting showdown in Philadelphia next week. Really great defense against the top, I think the number 1 or number 2 ranked offense in the NFL right now. So that should be interesting. The Cowboys going to win 43-20. There's never been a 43-20 final until yesterday. And the Cowboys played great in this game. I mean, Dak Prescott went out, had a hell of a game. 304 yards, 25 for 31 throwing, 4 touchdowns, only had the 1 meaningless interception there. Otherwise, he played fantastic football. He was sacked 3 times in the game by the Rams defense overall. Stafford in this game just could not escape Micah Parsons, but he only got sacked once in the game. And that was really the only sack that he had in the game throughout. The Rams defense, though, they got a couple of sacks in there. You had Donald with 2, and you had Horwitz with 1. But Aaron Donald did make his presence known in this game. This was probably the first game that he's had a multi-sack game all year. And it really didn't matter because the Rams just, didn't take any advantage with it. So Stafford went 13 for 22, 162 yards and a touchdown and a pick. Like I said, he led the game with a thumb injury. He hurt the thumb, busted it wide open. But that was that. Eagles played the Washington Commanders. They beat the Washington Commanders yesterday 38-31. Hurts threw for 4 touchdowns, no picks, 29 for 38. This was a hell of a duel with Sam Howell. Sam Howell went 39 for 52, 397 yards and 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. I'll get you right to it right now. Howell threw a pass to Trey McLaurin in the end zone for a touchdown, 7-0. 3 plays, 62 yards in 55 seconds. Eagles responded with a field goal. Later on, Howell again. Dotson again, 21 yards, made it 14-3. That was a big 9-play, 90-yard drive, 4 minutes, 31 seconds. Hurts threw a deep pass by A.J. Brown. He made a hell of a grab in the end zone. They made it 14-10. Later on, third quarter, again, Hurts again, A.J. Brown again, 25 yards and a touchdown right there. Ties the game up with 17. Howell, the only another one to Logan Thompson, that's a 7-yard touchdown play. That was after a 14-play, 70-yard drive in about 7 minutes and 15 seconds. Then the Eagles respond with a 38-yard play to Jalen Hurts, from Hurts to Devontae Smith. They tied the game with 24. Then Hurts again throws a Julio Jones. He got 8 yards in the end. They made it 31-24. Then Swift ran it in for 7 yards, sealing the deal. They made it 38-24. Then Howell, last hurrah, 26 yards to Jamison Crowder there. Makes it 38-31. Commanders trying to recover an onside kick. They could not do it. The Eagles did get the W here in a big way possible. This was a big game here. This is now 6 straight games for A.J. Brown with over 125 yards receiving. He had 8 catches for 130 yards, 2 touchdowns in the game. Devontae was at 7 catches for 99 yards in the touchdown. Goddard he actually had 4 catches for 36 yards in the game. And Julio Jones, in the 1 reception that he had in the end zone for 8 yards. That was really about it. Otherwise, this was great. Hurts had a fumble loss in the game. He turned it over here. Gainwell had a fumble loss. Washington recovered. They were trying to go for the tush push here, the tush push, and unfortunately, it Hurts fumbled it there. Gainwell fumbled it in also as well in the game. Howell had the 1 interception in the game, and he fumbled it in the game. Fuller recovered the fumble from Gainwell, and I think Mathis has recovered a fumble from when Hurts fumbled it. But otherwise, this was one hell of a game. Washington almost came back and made a game out of it. Second half, though, Philadelphia just unloaded. I mean, they were just ready to go at that point. And A.J. Brown just went and torched everybody. And that's the moral of the story now. A.J. Brown is really shredding the NFL right now, sending a message, making a statement here saying, I'm here, I'm him. And he did it in such a big way where I think realistically, if you think about this for what it is, really, for A.J. Brown, that was his coming out party. That was his MVP, Offensive Player of the Year performance. To have that in 6 straight games is nothing to sneeze at here. And I got to say, realistically, the way I look at it, the way I see it, I think A.J. Brown put a stamp on being Offensive Player of the Year and become Justin Jefferson for the last 4 or 5 weeks and just made an absolute statement. Or actually, for the last 6 weeks, actually. He's been totally dominant with the Philadelphia Eagles. Absolutely dominant. No one could stop him. I mean, even in defeat, A.J. Brown can have a big game. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's just incredible, really. It really is. The Ravens beat the Cardinals 31-24. This was scary at the end there because the Cardinals almost did make a comeback out of this one. They should have never lost. They should have lost a lot more than what they did in this game. They were up 7-0. They were outscored 31-0 at one point in this game. And Lamar Jackson didn't have a big game, really. Only threw for 157 yards. He ran for about 17. Gus Edwards, though, was kind of the answer in this game. He had 3 rushing touchdowns, 19 carries for 80 yards. Mark Andrews was trying to impress his high school coaches out in Arizona. He sort of did that, really. Not really a big game for him either. He had 4 catches for 40 yards. Zay Flowers had 5 catches for 19. Not great numbers for him. Bateman had 2 catches for 34 yards. Justice Hill had 4 catches for 40. Really, there was nothing really to sneeze at, really. Odell got targeted 4 times. He didn't make a single catch in the game. Aguilar was targeted once. He made no catches. And he actually muffed a onside kick recovery, which led the Arizona lead into a field goal here because they managed to screw up on time management. So that's how Baltimore survived that one. You're up 31-7 late in the 4th quarter, and you allow 17 points against this trashback Arizona Cardinal team. Talk about conservative. This was pathetic. Dubas went 25 for 37, 208 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. They let that happen. I mean, that defense allowed that to happen. If that was the 2000 Raven defense, Joshua Dobbs would have only thrown for under 100 yards. I'm sorry, but he had a pathetic game, and they should have never let the Cardinals almost get back in this game and win it. That was pathetic. I'm sorry, but it was. It was pretty sad. Speaking of sad, the Chiefs, 16-game winning streak against the Broncos came to a snap. Mahomes is now 12-1 in those games against the Denver Broncos when he's been involved. And this was the flu Mahomes game that he wished he did not play because it was a terrible performance by Patrick Mahomes in this game. And they could have used Taylor Swift here in the game for Travis Kelce. He had 6 catches for 58 yards. Not great at all. They managed to shut down Travis Kelce throughout the game. He caught the ball in garbage time, really, between the end of the first half and really towards the end of the game, really. Denver defended this really well. I got to be honest. Russell Wilson, not big game, 12 for 19, 114 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Mahomes, 241 yards, two interceptions, a fumble loss, got sacked a few times. This was not pretty. This was not a pretty game at all. Pacheco had 8 carries for 40 yards. As a team, they had 16 carries for 62 yards. -3 out of Tony, -2 on McKinnon. And McCall Harmon was a non-factor in this game at all. And 1 carry for 3 yards. He had 2 catches for 13 yards. Montez Valdez-Scantling had a fumble in this game with a 2 catches, 27 yards. Watson had 2 catches for 42. Rice had 4 catches for 56. I mean, this was just a terrible game. This kind of reminded me, really, of the Super Bowl 55 victory that Brady had over Mahomes, made it 31-9. No touchdowns thrown. Really bad time management. They couldn't get a momentum going in the red zone. They turned it over too much. And Buckner didn't miss a kick, really. So that was the story. At least you had that. Sutton and Judy woke up, even though Judy only had 2 catches for 50 yards and a touchdown. Sutton had 2 catches for 29 yards and a touchdown. Not much else to tell there, I guess. Got a little tickle in my throat there. Mims had 1 catch for 0 yards. McLaughlin had 2 catches for 16 yards. These are your stats today, by the way. That's what the stats that beat the Broncos here. As a team, they had 40 carries for over 153 yards. No rushing touchdowns to speak of here. But Russell Wilson had 3 touchdowns. That's all I could say about this, really. What Russell Wilson has right now for wide receivers, it's pretty obvious that they're overrated here. It's suck and stink. It stinks, stunk, and suck. Like, that's how I would describe the Denver Broncos wide receiving core. And they just beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Pretty sad. That end of their streak there. I actually, got to tell you right now, I was so used to the Denver Broncos losing to the Kansas City Chiefs. I wasn't even thinking of the streak really and how impressive it was. But now that it's over here, what we learn about Kansas City? Well, we learned this, for one thing. Taylor Swift is on Travis Kelce's mind no matter what, 24/7. When the girl's not there, the guy can't get his crap together. It's pretty obvious. But right here, that's one thing. The other thing is Mahomes had the flu, and the flu got to him. I mean, you talk about like, letting the flu get to you, and you have the worst symptoms and all that stuff right now. I love how the excuse making begins. Look, fact of the matter is that Travis Kelce got double teamed. You don't have any trust at all in your wide receivers, even with a guy who returned to your team and gave him a chance to play for a different team, came back to you, came crawling back to you, and you did nothing. When Kelce couldn't get open, you just gave up. You were frustrated. You're mad, but you have Hardman, you have Rice, and you have Kadarius Toney, right? Why not just target them? Why not? Why are you so worried about how Kelce's going to do at this point and try and jump back stat him? Just stop with it. It's stupid. It's a joke. I mean, Mahomes in this game just held the ball on for too long, allowed things to happen that shouldn't have happened. He got sacked 3 times in the game. He was just not himself. He got sacked a lot in this game. There were some boneheaded mistakes there too, and it was not pretty. It was not pretty at all. Joe Montana was in attendance in the 49ers-Bengals matchup yesterday, and Joe Burrow lit the 49ers up. You want to talk about exposing a team defensively in their place. I mean, this was amazing. I mean, he threw touchdown passes to Tyler Boyd. He threw a touchdown pass to Zophis. He threw a 17-yarder to Jamar Chase late in the third. Start in the fourth quarter, early in the fourth, and that's after an interception. And that was after I think it was after an interception that was thrown that led to that. Let me just go back to that for a minute. Fourth quarter, let's see. Yeah, that was on the interception. Yeah, that led to that touchdown. So that was on the first play of that touchdown drive. And then you got Brock Purdy who threw these, other side of the field type of throws that could be picked off. Kittle got the wide open play. Then it happened again with Christian McCaffrey later on. McCaffrey, by the way, tied the record with 17 straight with Lenny Moore. He has got a chance to break that in a couple of weeks when they play the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're on their bye next week. But this game, I got to be honest with you, it was a 10-play, 85-yard drive that I think it kind of got people thinking that the Bengals were going to make this a hard game. They did not take the lead once in this game. And the moral of the story was that the way they ended the first half. I mean, McCaffrey had a run there. They could have forced him to go out of bounds, get himself in field goal range. Instead, he dropped down again. They had no time to spike it. And I wouldn't depend on Jake Moody to kick a field goal for you anyway. I would have thrown a Hail Mary in that situation. But the way Moody's been lately with his kicks, I wouldn't get bothered at that point. They had a crucial interception late, a couple of interceptions late in the game, then a fumble loss there that really sealed it. That Purdy had all responsible for all 3 turnovers there. Burrow, though, 28 for 32, 283 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. That's 90% completed passes against a defense that's ranked number 2 in the league. When have you ever heard that before? That's unheard of. That is insanity. So I just can't figure out in a way how you go in a game like that and go 28 for 32, 283, 3. That is the best game Burrow has played all year. The best game he's played since the snow game he was in last season at Buffalo in the division round. The exact same percentage completion there. I don't think he had actually at any point in time felt any pressure in this game at all, despite the fact being sacked 3 times. When was he pressured in this game? Once or twice, maybe? And that's when they got the sacks in there. But really, let's think about it. That's how the flaw of this 49er defense really was. If they pressure you, they sack you. If they don't pressure you, you have all day to throw the ball. And their secondary is no better. Halunga's the only one in there that's great, but he's a run-stopping safety and passing as well, maybe. He does both, but he's majority running, stopping. So, I don't know. Mixon had 16 carries for 87 yards and a touchdown. And the team overall, they had 27 carries for 134 yards. Jamar Chase had 2 carries for -8 yards, but who cares? He had 10 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown. Higgins had 5 catches for 69 yards that were third down conversion made. I think every play that Higgins caught the ball, it was a third down conversion. I mean, it was unheard of how they targeted Higgins in this game. Boyd in this game had most of the targets late in the first quarter, but that was really about it. Otherwise, the story of the game was that you got Irv Smith Jr. who fumbled the ball. That was in their own. That was in the. Then Jamar Chase fumbled it, and then I think he lost it. I think he has a fumble. Smith Jr. lost it. I know that Chase had a fumble that was really incomplete. B.J. Hill recovered the fumble, but that was late in the game by Purdy. That was forced by Trey Hendrickson, who got injured by having someone step on his foot. He came back in. Sam Hubbard had a sack. Mike Hilton had some great tackles in the game. Hendrickson had a sack. I think that's really about it in the sack department. He had 2 sacks overall. McPherson missed a 56-yard field goal, but he made 1 or 2 field goals there. But the story of the game was that Brock Purdy and the 49ers, despite what they did, and Purdy had 22 for 31, 365, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. That was the problem there. Purdy had too many turnovers in this game. McCaffrey had 12 carries for 54 yards. As a team overall, that's the stats you're going to have right there, is that your quarterback led in rushing, but not Christian McCaffrey. That's a scary thing. Kittle had 9 catches for 149 yards, 0 touchdowns. That was your story of the game. Ayuk had 5 catches for 109 yards. McCaffrey had 6 catches for 64 yards and a touchdown. He had a receiving and a rushing touchdown. He's the total package of this whole team. Without him, your whole team is no good. Without Deebo Samuel so far, they're now, let's see now, they're now 0-3 without Deebo Samuel in the game in the last 3 weeks. You lost to Cleveland, you lost to the Cincinnati Bengals, and you lost to the Vikings. By the way, the Browns and the Vikings game were back-to-back weeks before this game here that just took place. So this team's got a problem. They've got to figure out a way to be successful without Deebo Samuel. And because of this loss right now, you let the Seattle Seahawks take first place. Brock Purdy has got to, figure out a way to have a big game without really just trying to do too much. I don't know why Kittle couldn't get in the end zone there. Big tight end like that, wide open. I don't know why you couldn't get in the end zone. I don't get it. IU had some big plays. He had a play that went over 21 yards, over 24 yards, over 30 yards. But moral of the story was that Purdy just couldn't hold on to the ball. He kept making too many mistakes, and that's what was the downfall here, which is what led to the Bengals getting the win on the road. Joe Burrow and the Bengals are back, and I said this on my review when I reviewed this on Facebook feed. I don't think the Bengals are going to lose another game. I don't. I find it very hard to believe they're going to lose another game going forward. I just don't see it happening. With the way their schedule looks right now, I know they're playing Buffalo next weekend. But I don't bet against Joe Burrow in prime time here. I wouldn't do it. They're home against Buffalo. I expect them to win that game. They're home against the Texans. They're at the Baltimore Ravens on a Thursday night game right after that one. That's perfectly fine. You got a healthy Joe Burrow, a healthy Jamar Chase, a healthy T. Higgins, a healthy Tyler Boyd. That Bengal team is dangerous. I just can't imagine that team being in 4th place the rest of the season. I don't. They're 4-3 right now. Every team right now is tied for 2nd place, technically. So they already have their bye. They're ready to go. They're healthy now at this point. They came back. I should have stuck with Joe Burrow and the Bengals. I really should have. This was a big-time game with Joe Montana in the crowd. I got to be honest right now. I think he kind of wished he had Joe Burrow playing for the 49ers right now than Brock Purdy. That was my takeaway from this whole game after watching this yesterday was, boy, oh, boy. And then you had a Bengal fan there who had nice shades on, had the Bengals 49ers thing on. It said, go Bengals on it. It was – you want to talk about making Joe Montana like making it feel awkward. The fact you have a Bengal fan there and he has no idea that Joe Montana is standing right behind him and he's wearing all that stuff right now. And he's got the gall to not even acknowledge the guy all game long. It's like, holy crap. Anyway, I'm just trying to figure out if they ever had an encounter there. I don't think they did, but yeah. But like I said before here, I looked at the rest of the schedule here, and I don't see them losing another game. Even with Jacksonville in the picture here, I just can't imagine this team losing another game because they're just too good. They're finally healthy at this point. And I got to say right now, at this point, they're going to win the next 10 games. Buffalo, Houston, at Baltimore, home against Pittsburgh, at Jacksonville, home against the Colts and the Vikings, at Pittsburgh, and at Kansas City. I think they're going to beat Kansas City just because I think they're going to expose the Taylor Swift flaw, because they have not lost a game with Taylor Swift in the crowd there. So if this is the date right here, it's going to happen on New Year's Eve that night, and they should have made it as a primetime game, because you could have had the kiss at midnight with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift right there, and it would have been the kiss of death on that game, because that would have been led to a Cincinnati win. Missed opportunity right there by the NFL and CBS to make that a nighttime game. I'm just saying. They could have done this from like 9 o'clock at night to midnight. They could have done it. It's doable. Anyway, facing Cleveland. I mean, they should beat Cleveland at home. That's no problem there. But I just can't imagine the Bengals losing another game. After the way they play against the 49ers, they're ready. 90% of passes completed. I don't think Montana's ever – I don't even think Peyton Manning or Brady has ever done it ever playing in San Francisco. Joe Burrow, no problem. First trip out there in a regular season game, big game like this, a lot of pressure. A lot of people thought the 49ers would still be undefeated. A lot of people thought the Bengals would be going in there undefeated. And here they are, both teams with 2 or 3 losses. And Burrow just comes out there and just goes, I'm healthy, I'm fine. This was the best game he's had all year. That's not even a debate. That's not even a debate. Even the Cardinal game, that was an easy W for the Bengals. This right here, they made it look way too easy in San Francisco. I'm just saying. And all 3 games the 49ers lost, by the way, they only scored 17 points. Think about that for a minute. Carolina apparently beat the Houston Texans 15-13. Bryce Young's first win in the NFL. He beats his best friend, C.J. Stroud. Stroud played like dog doo-doo in this game, despite him not turning the ball over at all in this game, which was surprising to me. But, that was the moral of the story. Beck fumbled it and lost it there. As a team, they ran the ball 30 times. They got 110 yards on the ground, but it wasn't big yards. Stroud had 13 yards on the ground. Dell had 15 yards on the ground. Singletary had 30 yards on the ground, and Pierce had 46 yards on the ground. Nico Collins was shut down for most of the game. He had 4 catches for 30 yards. Brown had 3 catches for 57 yards. Schultz had 2 catches for 5 yards. He was completely shut down in this game. And Schultz at one point almost got in a fight with Lulu, one of the linebackers of the Panthers. This game was just sad. You have the offside penalties, the roughing the kicker penalty there. I mean, everything that really gave Carolina that victory, it did. I mean, it was just the inevitable was going to happen at that point in time. Adam Thielen had 8 catches for 72 yards. Mingo had 4 catches for 62. Bryce Young went 22 for 31 for 235 yards and a touchdown. You want to talk about outplaying your best friend in the process? This game right here, you want to prove? The Houston Texans are frauds. All the excitement, all the drama, and they're frauds. It's kind of sad, actually, when you think about it, really. It's kind of really sad. But, that's the moral of the story. Saints beat the Colts 38-27. Derek Carr had a big game. 2 touchdowns, no picks, 310 yards. Minshew went 23 for 41, 213 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Jonathan Taylor had a big game. He had 12 carries for 95 yards, but no touchdowns. Taysom Hill had 2 rushing touchdowns on 9 carries for 63 yards. Shaheed had 3 catches for 153 yards and a touchdown. You want to talk about a guy that was like in the zone at that point in time? He had a big touchdown play, 58 yards down the field. And I think he had another. I think he had another one later on. But this game was just unbelievable from start to finish. This was I thought the Colts were going to run away with this. They were up by 10. And then Young had a 20-yard. Taysom Hill ran up the middle for 20 yards there. Zay Franklin was injured during the play. His return was questionable at that point. And then he had a 58-yard play. This right here with Shaheed here, he averaged about in this game 51 yards receiving in this game. He had a big play at the big play when he caught the ball. Shaheed has been a total difference maker here as far as the New Orleans Saints offense goes. Their wide receiving core waking up. If it's not him giving him the big game, then it's Chris Olave. It's not Olave. It's somehow Taysom Hill. Michael Thomas is just there at this point. Even though he should be, even though he is the number one wide receiver on that team, he plays like a number 4, number 5 at best, who happens to be there just to be involved. That was the moral of the story here. For Indy, well, the story was simple here. Michael Pittman Jr. had 8 catches for 40 yards and a touchdown. Alec Pierce had 3 catches for 41. Jonathan Downs had 7 catches for 72 yards there. Alec Ogletree had the 1 catch for 33 yards. That was really about it. The big 33-yard pass play by him to Minshew. But that Indy offensive line just did a great job. They allowed a couple of sacks there, but they did a great job. Carr got only sacked once in this game. That was really all the note, really. But the Saints did pretty well in this game. They got the win. They now improved to 4-4. Jacksonville and Pittsburgh. This was a day from hell in Pittsburgh. Kenny Pickett got injured once again. Injured his ribs, but did not return in the game. Mitchell Trubisky was in there, 15 for 27 for 138 yards. He had the 1 touchdown play to George Pickens. Came in there, avoiding being hit. 22 yards in the end zone there. You had a 56-yard play to Travis Etienne there to make it 17-3. There were 2-point conversion by Etienne, who not only called the 56-yard touchdown pass, but then ran it in the end zone himself later on. Otherwise, this was all about McNinnis and being a clutch kicker in the rain. I mean, to be that guy right there, to nail all those kicks and to go really, in this case here, that's Boswell's performance. Never mind. He was 1 for 2 in the game. He missed a field goal, I believe, from 35 or he missed it from 50 yards, I believe. McNabb went 4 for 4 for 50, and as long as with 51 yards, he nailed that one. In the rain, this was his best performance he's had as a kicker in a long time. Probably since his days since Denver, really, before he started to, decline. Here in Jacksonville, he's been a total difference maker this year for the Jaguars this year. He's been 17 for 19 this season, 89.5% made percentage for him as a field goal kicker, as long as his yards 56. And he was the reason that the Jaguars won the game. Him and Trevor Lawrence had a big game, 292 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. To go in there against TJ Watt here and to avoid the onslaught here. I mean, Alex Highsmith had a half a sack in there as well, along with TJ Watt, who combined it. But not really much to say with Highsmith and Watt. They really were just shut down in this game. They only got half a sack in here each for both of them. When they combined it, that was really about it. Not much else to tell there about that one, really. I mean, Pickens was shut down in the game. He only had the 1 catch in the game. Overall, was targeted 5 times. Darius Williams did a great job shutting down Pickens. Let me tell you, he did not get anything. Deontay Johnson was targeted 14 times. He had 8 catches for 85 yards. But the moral of the story here is, without Kenny Pickett, that team is completely useless. And the way I see it right now, if Pickett doesn't play this Thursday night and heal from that rib injury, I don't think they're beating the Tennessee Titans. I don't think they are with Trubisky. I'm sorry. I don't believe in Trubisky at all. They're playing Green Bay the following week here. I mean, they might get a win against Green Bay. I doubt it. They're not beating Cleveland and Cincinnati, though. They're not. I mean, that right there, in of itself, it's going to set them up for failure there. They have the Patriots later on in the year, which that might get them back. Indy, probably not. Cincinnati later on in the year, and Seattle later on in the year, and Baltimore, no. Those are all losses. In fact, I can see this team going 7-10 or 8-9 at the end of the year, because that's where the downfall is going to begin with Pickett's injury. And with Minka Fitzpatrick getting injured as well, I with a hamstring, I don't see him playing this week. I don't see Pickett playing this week. You're asking a lot out of this team in a short rest here to try to play again 4 days later against that team. I just don't see it happening. Chargers beat the Bears 30-13. Tyson Badgett, who went to the Peyton Manning Academy School, try to be a good quarterback. He did good, 25 for 37, 232 yards. Not a bad performance on Sunday Night Football. He did throw 2 picks in the game. Overall, he threw one to. Let me see. He threw one to. I don't know why it's not telling me here. Deron James and Taylor, who got the interceptions. Edgar had the 1 fumble loss. He got strips fumbled there. I don't know why they didn't call that stop running progress there. Eckler had 7 catches for 94 yards. He was a leading receiver in the game with a 1 touchdown there. Allen had 8 catches for 69 yards. Finoco had 1 catch for 9 yards. He was the wide receiver that got open late there. He was one of those fill-in wide receivers who come in on a 3rd down play. Donald Frum Jr., 4 catches for 43 yards. Quentin Johnson had 5 catches for 50 yards. Herbert in the game had went 31 for 40, 298, 3 touchdowns, no picks. His best game yet against the crappiest defense in the NFL in Chicago. That's how you got to look at it. That's why they got the 30. That's why they won 30-13. Eckler had a 39-yard touchdown reception from Herbert, then a 9-yard to Finoco, and then later on, an 11-yard play to Donald Frum Jr. Tyson Badgett had the 11-yard run to Evans here. He did not throw a touchdown pass in the game. And Digger nailed a 53 or 46-yarder, and he nailed, I believe, a 43-yarder in the game. So they nailed like 3 field goals. He was 3 for 3 in this game. Badgett ran over the middle for 1 yard there. And on a 10-play, 41-yard drive, but it didn't matter. The Bears lose 30-13. This shouldn't be surprising to anybody at all. It really shouldn't be at that point. Let's take a look here. We got the Seahawks and the Browns. This was a lot of high drama. I'm just going to fast forward to Jamal Adams, the headbutt pick interception right now. That really sealed the deal there at that point. That led to a touchdown late to Jackson Smith-Njigba, who was the prayer from 9 yards out right now. But this was that really sealed the deal there. Then the late pick in the end there for PJ Walker that gave Seattle the win, 24-20. Smith had a 12-yard pass to Tyler Lockett. He had a running play to Jake Bobo. He had I think he only had 2 touchdowns in the game and 2 interceptions, but he did throw for 254 yards despite those 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Those were big numbers. That's not easy to have right there against that defense. It's not easy. Walker went 15 for 31, 248 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Story of the game was Amari Cooper was the man here, but it wasn't enough. Cooper and 6 catches for 89 yards. Ngoju had 4 catches for 77 and a touchdown. There was one point in this game where I thought about this. The ball was stripped and Woolen recovered, but then Ngoju was trying to get the ball back by hitting the ball, recovering himself, but they called it down by contact. I don't know how they didn't reverse this call. I think right there that was the lead change in this whole thing that changed the whole momentum here. Even though Seattle was up by 14 by that point anyway, and by 10. They never relinquished the lead. I mean, they just kept it up. They just kept it going throughout. Walker had the fumble lost right now. It was recovered by Seattle there at one point. Their defense throughout here. Mafia recovered the fumble there on that one there. But Wagner has came in as an enforcer here. He had assisted on 10 tackles here in the game. He had 3 tackles of his own. But he was basically a man on a mission with about 10 assisted tackles here. I mean, he held everybody out. This guy was an enforcer throughout right now. Jamal Adams played like a total beast in this game. I mean, this wasn't a great game to watch. Myles Garrett did Myles Garrett things. He is a beast right now this year. I think he's had 9 sacks this season, I believe. It's it's unbelievable, really. 1 forced fumble there, a sack, 2 tackles. I mean, this guy was a beast. But that Browns defense is for real. They're a terrifying team. And you gotta give Seattle credit there. They sent a message. They had 114 yards on the ground. They exposed that Jim Schwartz defense. Ken Walker III had 66 yards on the ground on 8 carries. Charbonnet had 52 yards on the ground with 5 carries. They combined to get really just about 119 yards on the ground themselves. But you take away the Smith for -3 yards and Eskridge for -5, you get that. So that's 120. That's 122 yards if you think about it on the ground between Walker III and Charbonnet, and it's unbelievable here. They did an excellent job on the ground. In that game there, that was impressive. And now let's get to the Patriots and Dolphins. Tyreek Hill had a great game yesterday. Tua Tagovailoa had a big game yesterday. Never lost to Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. He is now officially 6-0. Big game there. Tua went 30 for 45, 324 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Mac Jones 19 for 29, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Ramon Stevenson 10 carries for 39 yards. Morstead was injured in the game. He had 13 carries for 46 yards and a touch before he left the game with an injury. I think it was his leg, I believe. A leg injury because he never really came back in the game, I don't believe. And he also had the fumble as well to open up the quarter, so that's what really changed that whole dynamic there. There were some bad plays that led to some red zone scoring drives. There was the interception by Tua by Kyle Duggar, who played like a man possession out there. He did great in this game defensively. 7 tackles in the game, 1 sack, 1 interception. Just overall, just a big difference maker there. Barrymore with a sack on Tua, but otherwise, the sad news, which was today, which was Kendrick Bourne had 3 catches for 36 yards, 1 touchdown. But I led the game with a torn ACL. Was late in the fourth quarter. He's done for the year, which that hurts Mac Jones a lot at this point now because that's your best wide receiver to get you going. Hunter Henry had 3 catches for 28 yards. Farrell Brown had 2 catches for 33. Devontae Parker left the game with a concussion. He was out. 1 catch for 14 yards. Juju Smith-Schuster had the 1 catch for 3 yards. He got the second touchdown from Mac Jones in the game. Bourne had the 24-yard touchdown reception to open up the game. But otherwise, it was later on that 6 point the play to make up for it. Tua to Tyreek Hill for 42 yards out. Cedric Wilson Jr. for 1 yard out there. And then the late in the fourth quarter there, 31-yard of Jalen Waddle there. There were Jack Jones trying to double team Hill. Waddle gets open there. 31-17. Pretty easy there. Mac Jones threw a pass. Nice touchdown drives in the end zone there. He had the interception to Jalen Ramsey there. At that point, there was another interception right there by. I would have the only interception thrown by Mac Jones, right? It was almost a pick 6 too. Duggar had a stop on Smith at one point that was avoid him from getting the tight end from getting in the end zone. I thought that was great. Other than that, the moral of the story now is that Mac Jones stinks. That's all there is to it. I've kept my mouth shut now for 8 weeks now. I've tried to defend this kid, but just careless mistakes, too many inaccurate plays. Mac Jones in this game, and I want to say it's Bill O'Brien. I want to give the kid credit here, but I thought about it all day long. I'm thinking in my head, like I'm listening to the radio today, listening to Zolak and Bertrand, and it goes to show you, like Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft have given this kid everything. They gave him Bill O'Brien. They gave him the wide receivers they wanted to throw to at that point in time. And Mac Jones just stopped caring. And I think realistically, he's been broken ever since that Dallas Cowboy game and the home shutdown against New Orleans. Because Bill Belichick at this point has got no answers for Tua Tagovailoa, has got no answer for Tyreek Hill, has got no answers for Jalen Waddle here. The shock and awe that it's in his face every time when he watches that team. I don't know if Bill Belichick gets stoned before these games at this point, realizing how much of a failure he is at this point and trying to hide the fact at this point that he is a failure by building this team together for Mac Jones. It's pretty bad. He'll never get fired. Kraft they got the out now at this point now where they fire him, they lose out on so much money. But to me, it's like, whatever. You're overpaying for a coach at this point that doesn't deserve it. That's all there is to it. 6-time Super Bowl champion. The two other Super Bowls that he won, which make it 8, which was a coordinator, which nobody counts those, but except for him. And you know something at the end of the day? The whole idea about Jim Harbaugh cheating at this point right now, do you understand now at this point now of, maybe behind the scenes, maybe they were looking at Jim Harbaugh until the whole cheating thing came out and it was all hush hush quiet. Because all of a sudden you hear about this one and stuff like that, but then you hear the Michigan report saying how TCU knew about the thing about the sign stealing. What a coincidence, right after you report the fact right now that Bill Belichick got a contract extension. Give me a break. And now the NFL is looking to suspend Harbaugh at this point if he does sign, which I don't know why they would suspend him for an NCAA thing that they should be doing themselves. But I don't know. The whole thing's weird. That's just my point. But here's my thing about Mac Jones. He sucks. That's all there is to it. My dad's been trying to tell me about it. My friends been saying, my cousin's been telling me he sucked. And he's been a big Mac Jones supporter. Loves Devontae Parker, loves all the other guys. But just Mac Jones sucks, right? This kid sucks. 160-plus yards,
2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Why can't this guy throw the ball down the freaking field? Why? I don't get it. You have all the power in the world. Just let the ball go. Let it go. Let it fly. Go deep with it. Do what you got to do. It's unbelievable. This is unacceptable. Ramon Stevenson, 10 carries for 39 yards in this game. Only averaged 3.9 yards in this game. What has happened to him? Elliott, 7 carries for 36 yards, 5.1. He did all right. Elliott is your best running back on the entire team. There's not even a debate about this. But Jesus Christ, this was pathetic. And the sad thing is they couldn't get any first down on penalties. You want to know what the penalties were in this game? I'll show you what the penalties were in this game. 7 penalties for 45 yards and 3 penalties for 25 yards. Bill at one point was screaming about something on the sideline. Nobody even knew what the hell it was. You know what it is? Bill Belichick has gone freaking senile. He has gone freaking senile. There's no way other than looking at it. The guy is senile. He's yelling about stuff, and all the referees are confused at the time. I'm looking at him like Bill's losing his mind. I laugh because that's what Robert Kraft wanted to re-sign. A raving lunatic who's going to brag about. Like, you want to know when he went senile? The day that he even admitted that he got the bow, 8 rings, when 6 of them were all responsible thanks to Tom Brady. Tom Brady was the reason why you got 6 more and why you have that bow. Now, you let the guy go to pasture because you thought in your mind that he was old news, washed up, no good. Guess what? You made him look like that when you made a guy play through a torn ACL and an MCL. Now, you could have gotten another quarterback in the draft here, like Jalen Hurts. Instead, they stuck with Stidham, a backup bench warmer who lost his job because he went to a wedding in Texas during COVID. And you signed Cam Newton, who, I'll give you the stats for him right now. He had 9 passing touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 12 lost fumbles, and a little bit of an ego. A guy who kissed Bill Belichick's ass, and that's the reason why he was here. Because he played ball with Bill. Bill would rather have a bunch of yes men than somebody telling him to fix your freaking team. They are 2-6 because Bill, the GM, has got yes men, and Bill, the head coach, has got guys with balls that he does not listen to, including his boss, his owner, Robert Kraft. That's a fact, by the way. That is a fact. That he does not listen to Robert Kraft at all. There's no reason for this. None. None whatsoever. And this is what you're going to come out with here? 31-17 against the Dolphins right now, and you're stunned? 24 first downs you allowed. You only got 13. You cannot make up your mind when it comes to this kid. They have him do short running plays so much, and he's so used to throwing the ball short. Bill O'Brien never, and I mean never, was the man to fix Mac Jones. Period. End of story. That's not even a debate in my mind right now. He was never the answer in this whole thing. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. There's no other way of looking at it. It's actually pathetic. 24 first downs to 13. You allowed 15 catches yesterday for 238 yards combined and 2 touchdowns between Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill, the only person in NFL history to have 1,000 yards receiving in 8 weeks. No one's ever going to have that record again, except for Jalen Waddle, who might get it the following year. Or more set. Anybody that's on the Miami Dolphins roster will break that record next year. I don't think it's a realistic thing that's actually going to happen here with Waddle here, but it's realistic here. By the way, CeeDee Lamb had 158 yards receiving yesterday. It popped in my thing in my timeline just now on the CBS Sports website. 158 yards on 12 catches yesterday on 2 touchdowns. Career high for him. That's a playmaker in Dallas. Name me a playmaker right now in New England right now. For all you people out there that listen to this podcast later on. Comment in the comment section. Email me, whatever. Name me a playmaker right now at this point besides Kendrick Bourne. There's none. And now Kendrick Bourne's out for the season right now with a torn ACL. And I didn't even think it was a torn ACL. I really didn't think it was. Now it is. That's pathetic. This team is delusional. They'd rather sign Bill Belichick to a multi-year contract. You know what that says about your players? To Matt Judon, to Mac Jones, David Andrews, Kendrick Bourne, Hunter Henry, Mike Gesicki. What does that say about this team? You overpaid for Devontae Parker. Here's another one, too. You could have drafted Will Levis this year. The guy who you could have gotten in the first round. You passed up to get Christian Gonzalez. Look what ended up happening to him. He tore his labrum. He's done for the year. Matt Judon tore his bicep. He's done for the year. You've got your priorities set to the wrong people. That's all I got to say. You have yes men at this point who kissed your ass, bend the knee for you, and they let you kiss your ass. They might as well blow you. It's pathetic. I hate watching this Patriot team. I don't want to sit there and watch them anymore. I don't even want to do this review anymore on the Patriots. That's how much it pisses me off. That's the effort you give after you beat the Buffalo Bills and that defense and you expose them. That's what you do. That's what your answer is going to be. Is 161 yards against the Dolphins, who are 20th ranked in total defense. When Jalen Ramsey returned, he looked like a totally different team, right? That's the excuse right there. Oh, Ramsey came back. I didn't know he was going to come back. Really? And the idea, is Matt going to be the quarterback going forward? He might as well be. You cut Cunningham. You didn't sign him back to the practice squad. I don't know what to tell you. Zappy sucks. So I don't have Zappy fever. I have the Zappy. I'm going to change my remote if I see him stick. That's what I see. Anyway, Raiders play the Lions later on tonight. I will review that one tomorrow. We got some NFL news that's happening right now. So Leonard Williams was traded from the Giants to the Seahawks in exchange for a 3rd and 4th round pick for the 2024 and 2025 NFL draft. And Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles. He's done for the year. And Leonard Fournette signed with the Buffalo Bills on the practice squad. So that's interesting there for the most part there. There's not really a lot of other news besides that, I don't believe, right now at this point. Not that I know of here. We're gonna get into some more basketball stuff in just a second, but and then sports. But what on sports related here, I wanted to bring this up for a minute because it was actually let me I'll bring that up at the end. I'll bring it up at the end. I'll bring up the Matthew Perry stuff and him passing away at the end of the episode. I might have just spoiled it. Damn it. Anyway. Here's some quick NBA news, stuff like that. De'Aaron Fox injury update. Kings All-Star guard extended missed time with an ankle sprain. He suffered a sprain in the game against the Lakers. Lillard played the worst basketball of his career last night against the Hawks. Only had 6 points, 2 for 12 shooting. Had a bunch of turnovers in the game as well. I'll give you the score on that one in just a bit right now. Michigan football sign stealing scandal. Evidence mounts is alleged cheating. It could be a long suspension for Jim Harbaugh, either in the NFL or college football. That's how you got to look at this now. Let's see here. We have David Andrews after the Patriots 2-6. The captain says players won't take coward way out. So that's that. Let's see. Oh, the last time the Lions started the season 5-2 with a 32-point loss in their 7th game, they went on to win the division and made it all the way to the NFC Championship game back in 1991. That's another fun fact for you. Raising Cane's opened in January. It's a nice little fast food joint.
So looking forward to that. This past Saturday, actually, before I get into the Brady stuff, this was also past Saturday as well. Red Sox broadcaster Joe Castiglione, the finalist for the Hall of Fame award, according to WZVB. So congrats to Joe Castiglione. Hopefully he gets the broadcasting Hall of Fame award there. Afran Simmons injury update. He's out with a tearing ligament in the thumb. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. And Deontay Johnson is defending Matt Canner. He's saying, quote, "It's not like he's intentionally trying to F up." Post quote there. So that's all you need to know on that one. This past week was more NFL grueling news. 1 year anniversary about Tom Brady announcing his divorce with Gisele. But according to Ball Slam's Facebook page, it looks like Tom Brady is going to go back with Gisele. And also going to try to go back with football at the same time. You got to make a choice, Tom. Either Gisele or football. I'm actually surprised that Gisele is actually considering him going back to football. Just the idea of it. It's crazy. If he wants to come back to football, it's great. I've heard the rumors now at this point. He can't go in as an owner, apparently, at this point. If he hasn't, I mean, he submitted his retirement papers. I don't know what more the Raiders want. But then again, they don't want to relinquish power to Tom Brady. They don't. They don't want to turn into the Las Vegas Patriots or the Las Vegas Bucks. I mean, that's whatever. It's fine. But he want to come back as a player at this point. I think they want him back as a player, which is why they don't want him to have ownership power. That might take away the whole thing. And I think Gisele wants him back in football just so they can go back to having Gisele and Brady the romantic love story, topping the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift story, which that would be a very interesting turn of events of an AFC title game with Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady. I'm just saying, Raiders, Chiefs, it's not in the cards, but I don't think it's a realistic thing. I don't. In fact, I think the Raiders would rather have Jimmy Garoppolo be their quarterback going forward than Tom Brady. And as far as where Brady goes going forward here, if Brock Purdy keeps struggling the way he's struggling, I think we're going to see Tom Brady as a San Francisco 49er if he were to come back. I mean, I just think realistically here, the way Brock Purdy is looking right now at this point, he's looking exhausted. He's looking like he's beat up. I think Brady could be the difference maker here if Brock Purdy were to get injured again this season, let's say hypothetically, or injures ACL, UCL injury. Could be an interesting scenario to bring Brady in. And I think Brady in right now at this point in non-football shape here. I know he likes the idea of retirement here at this point. Finally, he got divorced. He was dating Irene Shrieker at this point. That didn't work out. Now there's a chance he's going back with Gisele at this point right now. It kind of makes sense here. But really, I think Gisele wants him back in the league, just not because he loves football so much, just because he hates the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce attention. And now you hear these rumors now on Facebook. Like, here's this one right here, according to Trust Hip Hop here. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce plan to have kids soon. They just started dating. So I doubt this is even accurate here. And I put down, what the hell? Seriously, they just started dating. Stop with this rumor crap. And this is beyond rumors. I have not heard this to be accurate at this point. I'm not sure how the hell you're going to have kids at this point without being married, unless Travis Kelce is going to drop the ring on New Year's Eve that night, New Year's kiss and then the proposal. I mean, they've only started dating now, by this point for 2 months. So I don't know. It's a little strong. And I hope this doesn't scare Taylor Swift off and make him leave Travis Kelce. I don't know. I kind of hope that dumb rumor doesn't do that. And I hope that Brady and Gisele go back to the NFL for the wrong reasons. I would want Brady to come back in just because he would want to play football. Not to bow down to Gisele and say, Brady, go after Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift's relationship, and that once and for all make it all about us again. I doubt that. And Gisele didn't even like Brady playing football. Hell, she wanted to retire the year after they went undefeated and lost the Super Bowl. I'm just saying. It's not realistic here. It's not realistic, but it is what it is. I got to get into some NHL review stuff from over the weekend here. We had the Bruins over the weekend losing to the Anaheim Ducks. That was which I think I already reviewed that already, right? Did I already review that? They were on, I believe, Saturday, right? They beat the Red Wings 4-1. They lost to the Ducks earlier that week. I was on Thursday, which I already mentioned on Friday. They beat the Red Wings Saturday 4-1. They played pretty great hockey. McAvoy had a goal. Pastrnak had 2 goals for the Bruins, and Subban had 22 saves.
Swayman's been impressive. I will say that, though. I've seen a lot of improvement from Swayman in this game so far. And yes, it's limited shots here, but to have limited shots here and still look warmed up and still look good, I mean, this two goalies is working out. It's not like Yomark's getting like a lot of rest time here. It's like split back and forth. It's not a consecutive streak going on right now like they had last year going on where it got to the point where Yomark was exhausted. But it's back and forth, and I like the pace of it so far. And I think Pasternak here has been a really good difference maker for this team. Pavel Goldschlager had the power play goal. That was assisted by Martian and Pasternak. McAvoy had the backhand shot. Joseph Valino for Detroit had the wrist shot goal, the only goal they got in the third period. And Pasternak had the penalty shot and the empty net shot. So that was the only two goals that were pretty easily given to them at that point. Bruins improved to 7-0-1. The Panthers beat the Kraken 3-2. That was on Saturday. The Ducks beat the Flyers 7-4. Ottawa Senators beat the Penguins 5-2. The Rangers beat the Vancouver Canucks in overtime 4-3. Islanders beat the Columbus Blue Jackets 2-0. Montreal Canadiens winning a shootout against Winnipeg Jets 4-3. The Vegas Golden Knights remain undefeated. Somewhat undefeated technically. Technically, they're no longer undefeated, but they're 8-0-1. They had the overtime loss. They won in a shootout over the LA Kings 4-3. Yesterday, the Sabres shut out the Colorado Avalanche 4-0. The Avalanche dropped to 6-2. The Sabres now are 4-5, one game below 500. The Oilers beat the Calgary Flames in Heritage Classic Day 5-2. They wore their classic jerseys. The goals were Drelson had 2 assists, Hyman had 1 goal, and Weegar had the 2 assists for the Flames. That was in the Outdoor Heritage Classic in Alberta, Canada. Devils got the 4-3 win over the Wild, and the Washington Capitals beat the San Jose Sharks 3-1. That was on Sunday. For Friday night's action, it was Blackhawks actually getting the win over the Vegas Golden Knights. I went backwards here. I realized I didn't review Friday's games. Devils beat the Sabres 5-4. Capitals beat the Wild 3-2. Kings beat the Coyotes 5-4. Vancouver shut out St. Louis 5-0. And that was the overtime. That was all the games for Friday. Now tonight, you got Hurricanes at the Flyers. You got the Bruins at home against the Panthers. Ducks at the Penguins. Red Wings at the Islanders. Rangers and the Winnipeg Jets. Columbus Blue Jackets at the Dallas Stars. The Blackhawks at the Arizona Coyotes. Kraken at the Tampa Bay Lightning. And Montreal playing in Las Vegas tonight. That is tonight for hockey. We got some Baseball World Series we got to go over here. We got Game 3 on tonight. Game 1 was won by the Texas Rangers 6-5, and it was Garcia with a walk-off homer on Friday night in the 11th. Seager with a game-tying one in the 9th. And then Garcia obviously got the 6-5 win in the extra inning there. Saturday, Diamondbacks struck. They just completely Kelly dominated this Rangers team, scoring 9, only allowing 1, winning 9-1. Longoria had an RBI single, Clara had an RBI single, Marte had an RBI single, Carroll again had another RBI single, and Rivera had a 2-run RBI. Marino had the only solo shot in the game. And Garvin had a solo shot in the 5th that it looked like it woke up Texas, but it just ticked off Arizona, which allowed essentially 5 more runs between the 7th and the 8th inning. And then 1 more in the 9th, which made it 7, I believe, at that point. So that was a 7-run rally that the Diamondbacks were on between the 7th and the 8th and the 9th. They out him 16-4 on Saturday night. They have Game 3 on tonight. Game 3 is on at 8:03. And tonight's pitcher is Max Scherzer and Brufalton. By the way, Scherzer was a former Arizona Diamondback who started his career out. The rookie Brandon Pfaadt facing the veteran Cy Young winner Max Scherzer. That is to be a hell of a game tonight. So that's your story on that one, baseball going forward. Like I said before, I got the Texas Rangers winning in 6 games. In fact, I got a $45 bet on that game. I believe in that World Series alone. So that's the moral of the story. Yeah. We got NBA basketball we got to get in. We got to go over here. I almost signed off here without even going over this. Friday night, the Celtics got their first home win of the season. Derek White scored 28 points. Porzingis looked like he was exposed a little bit by Bam Adebayo there. Adebayo just took it right to Porzingis, but he had 27 points. He didn't sign an extension with the Heat, So he's going to be a free man after the season here, which I just found out the other night. He went 10 for 24 shooting. Tyler Hero went 10 for 19. The story was Hero in this game. He led the team with 28 points. He was a difference maker here. You want to talk about sending a message to Damian Lillard here and the Blazers and the rest of the NBA against the Celtics defense with Drew Holiday and Derek White. 28 points. Making it rain. 10 for 19, 5 from 12 for 3, 3 for 3 from the free throw line. He was the guy, the man, the myth, the legend in this game. 14 points for Jimmy Butler. He went 3 for 11 in this game. That was the moral of the story. Love didn't do that much either. He was 3 for 7. Clara had 13 points. The bench really didn't do anything either. Duncan Robinson had 9 points. Smith had 9. The rookie Javier Vasquez Jr. out of UCLA, he got absolutely just exposed by Derek White and Drew Holiday. It got to the point where it's uncomfortable, and it actually almost engaged in like a little bit of fight between Vasquez and really Drew Holiday, really. And it was interesting there. But otherwise, the Celtics just went on a rampage. Tatum had 22 points. Brown had 27. White had 28 points. Holiday had 17 points. Much better showing here offensively than I think in any other game here. 7 for 13, 1 for 4 from 3. White went 9 for 15, 5 from 7 from 3. Porzingis went 2 for 6 from 3, which I think he's had a little bit too much for the 3-pointers there. I think he would have gotten 10 for 12 there had he not shot for that many threes. Brown went 11 for 22, 3 for 7 for 3. Tatum went 9 for 22, 3 from 10 from 3. The story of the game was that Pritchard had 3 points. Hauser had 3 points. Brissett had 2 points. There's not really much else to say on the bench, really. They just didn't have a lot of guys playing. But in that second half, in that fourth quarter especially, 32-23 run there in the end, the Celtics just sent a message saying they're not gonna back down from the Heat. So all 5 stars were double digits there. Were over 20 plus points. They were great in this game. Pistons beat the Hornets 111-99. The Knicks beat the Hawks 126-120. The Bulls beat the Raptors 104-103. San Antonio Spurs beat the Houston Rockets 126-122 in overtime. Mavericks beat the Brooklyn Nets 125-120. By the way, I think this was the game that Zach LaVine had 51 points, if I'm not mistaken here. Or no, DeRozan had 33. I think it was it Saturday night's game that he had the big? Yeah, it was Saturday night against the Pistons when he lost. He had 51. So Magic beat the Blazers 102-97. The Jazz beat the Clippers 120-118. Golden State Warriors beat the Sacramento Kings 122-114. Curry dropped 41 that night. Fox dropped 39 in the game. Nuggets beat the Grizzlies 108-104. Marcus Smart, who was in the game, just really did good in this game. Had 20 points, 7 for 13 shooting, 3 from 7, 5 assists in the game, 2 rebounds. Jerry Jackson led the team when it scored with 21 points, but they was not enough to be the defending champion Nuggets 108-104. Thunder beat the Cleveland Cavaliers 108-105 in Cleveland. Saturday night, the Sixers beat the Raptors 114-107. Embiid had 34 points. Barnes had 24. Pelicans beat the Knicks 96-87. They improved to 2-0. Ingram had 26 points. RJ Barrett with 18. LaVine had 51, like I mentioned before, with the Bulls. They lost to the Pistons over there 118-102. Cunningham had 25 points. LaVine had 51. Cunningham had 10 assists as well. Darian had 15 rebounds in the game. I think it was a D. Marine or Aruba here. I think at one point had 5 blocks for the Pistons. The Pistons, by the way, are 2-1. By the way, Minnesota beat the Heat 106-90. Nope, I think I just killed an ant. I don't know. I just saw an ant just crawling around here. I don't know where the hell he went. Anyway, Suns beat the Jazz. Oh, there we go. They beat the Jazz 126-104. Wizards beat the Memphis Grizzlies 113-106, and the Pacers beat the Cavaliers 125-113. In the game, I think there was no Devin Booker again. It was Durant, Gordon. There was no Bradley Beal either. We had not seen the two of them with Durant together. Durant's been carrying this team in the 3 games they've played. There's been no sign of Bradley Beal at all, which is amazing. For Miami here, Hero again was a story here. Had 22 points, led the team in points. He was 8 for 23 shooting, which is not great, but he was 4 for 11 from 3, which kind of helped. Bama by 19 points, went 7 for 14 in the game. He needs to improve in that field goal range there. And luckily, he only took 1 3-pointer in this game. That's really about it. By the second half, at that point, it was a runaway for the T-Wolves. But big game right there by Hero again. And yesterday, the Warriors beat the Rockets 106-95. Curry scored 24 points with 4 threes late to lead the Warriors to victory there. Klay Thompson had 19 points, went 7 for 12. Not a bad night shooting. Wiggins had 13 points. Draymond Green had 4 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, went 2 for 4. Played about 20 minutes in the game. Curry had 31 minutes on the floor. Thompson had 29 minutes. Wiggins had 28 minutes on the floor with 13 points. Looney had 5 points with about 26 minutes. Kuminga had 9 points off the bench. You had 15 for Gary Payton in the second. Chris Paul came out the bench for the first time in his career, and he only had 8 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 from 8 for shooting, 0 for 3. Had 27 minutes coming out the bench. Might as well have been starting at that point. I don't know why they didn't put him in there, but whatever. They wanted to put Wiggins in there. It made sense. Green had 21 points. Fred VanVleet. Listen to this stat right here. And no one's talking about this at all. 4 assists, 2 for 13 shooting, 2 from 7 from 3, 32 minutes on the floor. Ugly performance by Fred VanVleet here. And I don't know what to say about this, really. I mean, everyone's talking about Damian Lillard's worst career game here. How about this game here with the Rockets with Fred VanVleet? You want to talk about career worst. This is by far it right here. And I mean, in your home. I get Lillard's situation there. I mean, he should have played better. He was the sole reason why the Bucks lost. But this right here is no excuse. This right here against the Warriors, and mind you, you're not facing Chris Paul the starter. You're facing a washed-up Paul version off the bench here who kind of outplayed you. You got outplayed by Chris Paul, who's sitting on the bench. If you're Fred VanVleet here, that was pretty bad. Anyway. Yeah, but I want to talk about this one a minute. The Hawks, Trae Young had 20 points. Antetokounmpo had 26 points, 11 rebounds. Lillard had 5 assists in the game, but he had the worst numbers here. 6 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 from 12, 2 from 8 from 3, 29 minutes. They should have benched him after the 10 minutes before that. Jamison Crowder, or Jay Crowder, I should say, had 2 points. This was ugly with a capital U. I mean, Beasley had 18 points. There was no Middleton in this game. He was resting up with an injury. I think he suffered in the game. I think it was like an ankle he was dealing with there. Porter had 12 points. He was really the only, and Beachman had 8 points. Cunningham had 5. Those were the only guys that really responded off the bench here. The rest of these guys were just Antetokounmpo brother. Who was it? Dinas? Yeah, sucked. That's all I got to say. He was not that good. He's not a good power forward at all. If anything, he's a less than power forward. I don't know what's his exact thing. He's 6'7". He's a power forward. Why are they making him a power forward? Make him your small forward. They'll probably play better. Clippers torched the Spurs 123-83. This was Wembeya's first away game, and it was not a pleasant one. I don't know what to say about this, really. 11 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 from 10 shooting. This was ugly. We had a lot of bads in the NBA. Holy crap. A lot of bad scoring, too. I mean, it's kind of surprising, really. The Nuggets beat the Thunder by 128-95. I don't think that was also the last night as well. Another huge blowout game there. Djokovic had 28 points. Holmgren had 19. He had advice for Holmgren. He told him to get fat and get big if you want to become a big man and challenge me, basically. That was a message sent right there. The Kings beat the LA Lakers at home in overtime, 132-127. Anthony Davis with 30 points. De'Aaron Fox had 37, but he's out for multiple weeks with an ankle injury. LeBron had 27 points, 11 for 19, 3 from 8. Tyron Prince had 20 points, 7 for 17, 5 from 13 from 3. Arjun Moore had 11 points off the bench. Wood had 11 points off the bench. Both guys combined for 11 rebounds and 2 assists. They both combined to shoot for 6 for 12 from field goal range and 4 from 8 from three-point range. They equals at 50% each. So good for them. The Sixers beat the Trailblazers 126-98. Joel Embiid had a and Tyrese Maxey dropped double-doubles as Harden watches. Embiid had 15 rebounds, 35 points. I just said that completely backwards. 35 for 15, I meant to say. And Maxey had 26 points with 10 rebounds, and Tobias Harris had 24 points and 5 rebounds, 2 assists. Embiid, it was close to a triple-double, and so was Maxey. They both could have had a triple-double in this game. I don't think there's ever been a game where 2 guys had a triple-double here. But it almost happened here in this game here. And so far, the Portland Trailblazers, well, they're not looking that great. Robert Williams III, 6 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. And he is 25 minutes in there, but I don't know how this guy's not starting. DeAndre Ayton not looking any better. He had 7 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, out there for 20 minutes. He was your starter. And they decided to put, I don't know what they're thinking here, but I would say put Grant, like, I don't know what this lineup was supposed to be. Like, I get what they're trying to do here, but it's not looking. Henderson looked terrible in this game, 2 for 7, 0 for 4 from 3. I mean, what's happening here? What's happening in this team? This kind of looks like now this may backfire at this point, and this might get Chauncey Billups fired as a head coach of the Portland Trailblazers. I'm just saying, this is a really bad nightmare. They just can't beat anybody. They can't beat the Sixers. They can't beat the Magic. They can't beat anybody, really. It's kind of pathetic. I mean, you lost to the Jazz. You lost to that was in preseason. I'm sorry. The Clippers, the Magic, the Sixers now. I mean, and they're all double-digit losses. These are not close. So, well, except for the Magic one. That was only a 5-point loss. But still, I mean, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Tonight's games, you have the Celtics at the Wizards. They're going to beat the Wizards. I mean, they're going to go 3-0. That should be a no-brainer there. Pacers play the Bulls tonight. You have the Brooklyn Nets at the Charlotte Hornets. You have the Timberwolves at the Atlanta Hawks. You have the Portland Trailblazers at the Toronto Raptors. You have the Golden State Warriors at the New Orleans Pelicans. You have the Miami Heat at the Milwaukee Bucks. The Mavericks are at the Memphis Grizzlies tonight. Jazz are at the Nuggets. Orlando Magic are at the LA Lakers. And the Pistons are at the Oklahoma City Thunder. I am picking an upset win tonight for the Pistons over the Thunder. I think the Pistons are the real deal. I hate to say it, but they are. They are averaging – Cade Cunningham is a man on a mission right now. I think he's trying to be Offensive Player of the Year. He's averaging 22.3 points per game here. Durant, who's just a beast of a man at this point, averaging a double-double here with 18 points and 15 rebounds here in 3 games. It's just – Holmgren's not even getting that numbers. So I think they may have gotten the wrong center here if you're Oklahoma City at this point. But the Magic so far, it's early, but I mean, this is their toughest test yet. I don't think they're going to beat LeBron tonight in the Lakers. I don't. Anthony Davis is going to be too much. He's averaging 25 to 30 points per game. LeBron's averaging about 21 to 25 a game. And Lillard so far, their 39-point performance, well, he just got torched by the Hawks of all teams. They're facing the Heat tonight. I can't see the Heat going 1-3. You know, it's an 82-game season, so it really doesn't matter. But I just can't see it. I really can't. With Tyler Hero playing great ball, Bam Adebayo playing great ball, then Butler who's going to try send a message to Damian Lillard here. I mean, it's Lillard versus Butler tonight. I hate to say it, but that's exactly what it is. That's what's going to be about in this game. I mean, realistically, it's not going to be about anything else. I kind of expect the New Orleans Pelicans to beat the Warriors tonight. I don't know why. I just have that funny feeling here. Like, I think the Warriors are going to drop the 2-2. There's obviously some tension going on with Klay Thompson wanting an extension at this point, but instead they're going to get Chris Paul with the same deal. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's something's brewing right now at this point. The Draymond Green drama stuff right now with the media and the podcast. I mean, it's just something's brewing right now in Golden State right now. It ain't looking too good. I mean, the way they lost the other night, to the Suns. I mean, at home like that, without Booker, without Bradley Beal. They lost to Durant. They let Durant trounce them, embarrass them. I mean, that was Durant by himself. I mean, Booker was around actually for that game as well. Actually, the more I can think about it, but still, I mean, it's something's brewing down there. The Brooklyn Nets so far with, and this is the story now going forward, but Ben Simmons has been a total difference maker at this point for this team, averaging 10 rebounds and 8 assists here. I'm not sure what else he's leading here at this point. I want to say at this point now that Thomas is averaging 33 points per game here so far, but the rest of the team's been pretty good. So it's just a matter of that game being interesting here. I think Brooklyn might pull off the win in Charlotte. I don't know why, but I'm taking Pacers tonight over the Bulls, Hornets over the or I'm sorry, Brooklyn Nets over the Hornets. I'm taking the T-Wolves over the Hawks. I'm taking the Raptors over the Blazers, the Pelicans over the Warriors, the Heat over the Bucks. I'm taking the Mavericks over the Grizzlies. Look, it was a nice idea about Marcus Smart being here, but it doesn't seem like he makes that much of a difference here. Without Ja Morant, this team is useless. I'm taking the Nuggets over the Jazz, and I'm taking the Lakers over the Orlando Magic. And the Pistons over the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight. And I hope the Texas Rangers win Game 3 tonight in Arizona. It's a lot of stuff going on right now at this point. You got the Bruins playing a liner on tonight as well. They'll be the Florida Panthers. This is Game 7 revenge type of mentality. I forgot to mention it earlier. It looks like Yomark is in there tonight. He's now 3-0-1, only allowing 1.74 goal average per game. He's got a save percentage of 93.7%, and it's looking awesome right now. The Bruins are a favorite to win at home, obviously. Bruins only lost this year was at home, ironically, to the Anaheim Ducks, who are playing the Penguins tonight, who've got a better record than the Penguins do. That's kind of surprising. But yeah, that will do it there. My phone just died. I was going to read you more news, but now we're going to get the sports stuff out of the way and give you some sad news. Matthew Perry, everyone knows him as Chandler from Friends, passed away. Was in his hot tub, and he fell asleep, and he may have drowned in his hot tub. They're saying right now at this point they don't know if it's alcohol related or drug related. We know the past history of the drugs and alcohol that were in the system before all that. So very sad that he passed away at this point. They're going to do a toxicology report, and it should come back within 6 to 12 weeks. But condolences goes to their friends, families, colleagues, just anybody really. When I heard the news, I dropped to my knees. It felt like a gut punch to me. I watch Friends a lot, and I would say Chandler kind of reminds me of me, really. Just thinking of the right things to say and like awkward or bad situations to try to hide comedy with try to hide the bad with the comedy. So it's like. But just to hear that happen to him and the way he passed, it's terrible. 54 years old, had no kids, drank a lot, was a good actor. Just again, very, very sad that he had passed away. So condolences goes out to their friends and families and colleagues again to Matthew Perry. Very sad to hear. All right, so that's all the time I have today. This is a long show. I really was not planning on being on this long today, but I figured today I get the Tom Brady take out of the way. I get the just the Joe Cool stuff out of the way as well, and just everything I reviewed today. I didn't do a full review on college football and stuff like that. I kind of was, that might be the quickest review I ever had for college football here. There were some other games on over the weekend in the FBS. I couldn't find that scoreboard, but I was able to give you the URI stuff. By the way, I got fans pumped up for that game as well. That was a fun football game. You know that game's only $10 to go to? They got a big giant jumbotron on their screen. They're knocking down the old scoreboard. They're making URI football exciting. They are. And their team's exciting too. It's better than New Hampshire. But anyway, I'm signing off right now. You can follow me on Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. As soon as my phone's gonna get done charging up, I'm gonna upload that stuff. My phone just dropped dead, so I'm gonna sign up, and I'll see you all again tomorrow. I will review all the games that are on tonight, including the World Series, and review Monday Night Football. Again, I got the Lions beating the Raiders tonight. Hopefully, I extend that streak. I only have 4 losses tonight. I don't want to have another number 5 here, because if I have 5 straight losses here again in 8 weeks of football action, the NFL's unpredictable, but I don't know. Anyway, I am signing off. I will see you all again tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day, guys. It stopped raining now, so it's not looking like it's going to rain again anytime soon. Okay? All right. Bye.